What's up, my friends? In this video, we're gonna look at 7 one-bag travel backpacks. These are backpacks that I have packed out, unpacked, that I've tried and tested, and I've actually reviewed every single one of these bags in full. I'll link all of those videos in the description. These backpacks range from 25 to 38 liters. They range from $200 to $350. These are some of the best backpacks that I've found on the market today, and any of these would be a good option for 2025 summer travel season, but there's one for me that takes the cake. Also, I'm gonna rate each one of these bags, giving you a score out of 50. We're gonna rate them in construction, functionality, comfort, organization, and aesthetics. So the first bag we're gonna look at is the BELLROY Lite Travel Backpack. This is a 38 liter. This is the biggest backpack that we will be reviewing. This is a 38 liter backpack. It comes in at about $230. One of the unique things about this backpack is it is made of 80% recycled material. That's pretty cool. It's made of this really unique, kind of grainy looking nylon. This backpack, I give a score of 7 out of 10 in construction, and here's why. The biggest con for me in this backpack is structure. There's not a lot of structure to it at all. You can move it all around. That might be beneficial for you, but what I've noticed is it's such a big bag that when I have it packed out, it kind of bulges and shapes to whatever I have inside the bag rather than holding its own shape. So that creates problems for me in 2 areas. Aesthetics, it just kind of looks like a blob sitting there. And second is weight distribution. There's not a lot to this bag to actually handle the kind of weight that you can put in a 38 liter backpack. Another thing about the construction of this bag is the zipper weight. They are pretty small zippers. You can check this out on my full review of this backpack, but when I have this thing packed completely out, the zippers seem to be a bit stressed. For functionality on this bag, I give it an 8 out of 10 for a couple of reasons. I think they've done a good job at some pocket placement, particularly this pocket right here, which is a side or vertical pocket on the front of the bag. Super accessible for an extra layer or a notepad, something like that. The thing that I love about a vertical pocket on the side of a bag is that I don't have to take the bag off in order to access it. I don't have to set it on the ground. I can turn the bag like this and access it from the side. Along with that front vertical pocket, we have an admin pocket here at the top. This allows us to organize some of our smaller things and the things that we need access to in transition when we're on the airplane or the train or walking down the street. Another key feature for me in functionality with this bag is the stowable shoulder straps. Being able to tuck these shoulder straps away and have much more of a brief or a duffel experience, I think is really meaningful. I give comfort of the BELLROY 7 out of 10. The biggest ding around comfort for me is, once again, this is a 38 liter bag. So with 38 liters, you can really pack some weight in this thing, and there's very low weight distribution functions for this bag, meaning there's no waist belt. So there's no way to take the weight of this bag and put it on your hips. There's no weight distributing straps at the top of the shoulder straps. Some of the bags we'll reveal, you'll see they have a weight distribution webbing right here that holds the straps up. What that does is it brings the weight of the pack more onto your frame rather than pulling you backwards. There is a low amount of padding in the shoulder straps as well. Some of the things that I love that they did on comfort is the mesh on the back that helps with sweating and heat. I also love the seamless sides of the shoulder strap so that if it accidentally starts rubbing on your neck in some sort of way, then you're not dealing with any seams that are gonna rub and give you a rash or any discomfort that way. Now, organization. Organization is where I think it really misses the mark. Now, I have to say, these first 2 bags that we're gonna look at are called light versions of travel backpacks, meaning one of their priorities was to make it weigh less. My guess is that BELLROY skipped some organization features for the sake of keeping it a light backpack. But nonetheless, good organization is an absolute essential for me. So we already talked about the front pocket. We talked about the admin pocket. One thing I do want to mention about the admin pocket is there's literally only one internal pocket inside the admin with a pen holder, and it doesn't even close with a zipper. They did a pretty good job at organizing the internal main pocket of this bag. You do have a solid nylon pocket at the top that zippers open and it has some good puckering, so there's a lot of room. And then you have 2 mesh pockets. I do love the 2 mesh pocket system. So of course, all of these are great for shoes and packing cubes and clothing. But if you have anything small, it's just missing that extra organization that you can keep those small things organized. Finally, on organization, the laptop pocket is a little bit challenging to access, and there's zero organization inside the laptop pocket. So if you travel with a laptop and a tablet, there's not gonna be any separation or organization between those two in the BELLROY backpack. So in the organization of the BELLROY, I give it a 6 out of 10. And then finally, aesthetics, my opinion on how it looks. It's a decent looking backpack. It's very clean, it's sleek. However, as I mentioned, when it's very packed out, it gets very bulgy and just takes the shape of whatever's inside the bag. So in my opinion, it doesn't look the best when it's packed out. So I gave it a 7 out of 10 in aesthetics. So my overall score for the BELLROY Lite Travel Backpack is 35 out of 50. Okay. Moving on. The next bag we're gonna look at is the TORTUGA Expandable Backpack. Now I will tell you, this is also a light version of the TORTUGA travel backpacks. There are pro versions of the TORTUGA travel backpacks that have more organization, have a little bit more features, but I wanted to have something to compare to the BELLROY in the light category so that if it is something light that you're looking for, you have some options. Now, because of its expandability, which really upped its functional score for me, it is a 27 liter to 32 liter backpack. It's in that sweet spot of if you're only going for a couple of days, you can really clamp it down and it's not gonna be floppy and all over the place. But if you're going for a longer 5-6 day trip, you can expand it out to that 32 liters and it packs like a true 32, maybe even 35 liter backpack. The price of this backpack comes in at about $250. So let's dive into construction. For construction on this backpack, I gave it an 8 out of 10. Couple of the dings is that all the zippers are a very lightweight zipper. They're YKK zippers, so they're good quality, but they are light. So if you have this thing packed out at 32 liters and it's a stretch at 32 liters, you might stress these zippers out a little bit. Let's talk about functionality or ease of use. I also gave this backpack an 8 out of 10 in functionality for some of the same reasons of the BELLROY. It has this vertical side pocket that you can use without taking the backpack off. Once again, there's no organization inside this backpack, so it is kind of an empty crevasse. I like to put an extra layer like a sweatshirt or a light jacket inside that pocket so I can access it whenever I want. You also have the admin pocket up here on top. There is zero organization in the admin pocket. So once again, because this is built as a light version of their packs, they have really reduced the functionality or the organization of this pack. We'll get into organization in just a second. The greatest thing, reason this got an 8 instead of a 7 for me, is the expandability. And all you have to do is it has this zipper that goes all the way around the perimeter of the backpack. All I have to do is zip that up in order to reduce it to 27 liters. If I want to expand it, I unzip it. And then the other cool thing that they included in the expandability is these side buckles that can both hold things, but also you can cinch it down. So if it's somewhere between, if you're packing somewhere between 27 and 32, let's say 30 liters, you're not gonna have a bunch of baggy bag out there because you've expanded it. You can just cinch it down with these buckles. Comfort, I rated it a 10 out of 10. This is one of the most comfortable bags that I've ever worn as it was packed out. There's a little bit of structure to it, or a bit of structure to it, which I really appreciate, especially in the back. So as I have this thing packed out and I have my laptop in it, I'm not feeling a bunch of lumps and bumps. Also, the beefiness of the padding on this thing, both in the waist belt, on the back, and on the shoulder straps, it's padded to the max everywhere. I love the weight distribution features on this backpack. They put some serious thought in how the weight is gonna sit on your body. First, you have a removable waist belt. They also have the weight distribution straps on the shoulder straps. So what that does is when they're completely loose, the location of the strap is a little bit low, and that's gonna put the weight further back, and it's gonna give you that leaning back feeling. As soon as you tighten these up and raise the contact point of those shoulder straps, it takes all that weight and puts it right on your waist, especially when you use it in combination with the weight belt. Let's dive into organization. I've already alluded to it, but I gave it a 6 out of 10 for organization. There are very few internal organization options for this backpack. So we talked about the front pocket, no internal pockets, no zippers, no mesh bags, no pen holders, nothing in the admin pocket except for a keychain or a key leash. If we open up the main pocket, once again, no internal organization other than this front large zipper pocket. There is, however, something that the BELLROY didn't have, which is an awesome water bottle holder. Very, very tough. And it's super deep, so it holds your water bottle very tight. All right, then we have the laptop pocket, which is accessed from the top, not the side. And there's zero organization inside the laptop pocket either, but it is very soft material in there. And the laptop pocket doesn't go all the way to the bottom of the bag, so it protects your laptop when you slide it in. Finally, aesthetics on the TORTUGA expandable backpack. For me, I think they did a damn good job on how this bag looks. I think it's cool. The branding is subtle. When it's packed out, it holds its shape. The overall score for me is 41 out of 50 for the TORTUGA Expandable Lite backpack. All right, so the next two bags that I'm gonna show you are marketed particularly to creators, but I'm including them in this video because I think they're great bag options even if you're not a creator. So the first one we're gonna look at is the SANDMARC travel backpack. This backpack is 25 to 30 liters. Yes, another expandable option. The SANDMARC travel backpack comes in at about $250. For construction of this backpack, I gave it an 8 out of 10. Now, some dings against it, some cons is lightweight zippers. Once again, once I have this thing really packed out, I feel like I'm stressing out these zippers quite a bit. They are that rubber waterproof zipper as well. So there's a little bit of resistance in using them. They're not as smooth, but if you need that waterproofness, especially if you're packing away camera gear, that's gonna be a really great option for you. There are some elastic features on this bag that seem to be like a very weak point of this bag. So this elastic here, we have some elastic on the sternum strap as well. And then there's some elastic straps in the bottom of the bag as well for tripods or anything you want to strap to the bottom. All the elastic feels like it's gonna stretch out pretty quickly. Things that it has going for it in construction is it's clearly very structured. It has kind of that box shape looking, which I don't love. We'll get into that in aesthetics, but when you're packing away camera gear or you're packing certain specific things, that structure can be really, really helpful. I also love that they use some rubber coated nylon on the bottom of this bag. Everywhere you go, you're setting your bag down and it's disgusting. This makes it really easy to keep cleaned and disinfected as you're out on the go, setting it down on the floor in all of the crazy places you're gonna take this thing. Functionality, I also give it an 8 out of 10. There are some really functional things about this, but the star of functionality for this is the expandability. So once again, you have this zipper around the perimeter of the bag, and when the zipper's closed, it's 25 liters. When it's open, it's 30 liters. Now, there are some tricky things in this design of this backpack that make it a little bit challenging to expand it and retract it, namely the water bottle holders, or they also call these tripod holders. And you actually have to sneak that perimeter zipper underneath in order to either expand it or retract it. So it goes under these straps and around. So it's not a huge deal, but you do have to deal with that a little bit. And then what that does is it puts a zipper, an expandable zipper on the water bottle holders as well, which can be a little bit challenging to get it started, but not too bad. Another thing around functionality is you have these very accessible front pockets. They are a little bit challenging to get in because of the structure of the bag, and they are just this single straight zipper rather than like a U shape. You know, you're reaching in there and it's a bunch of empty space, so that may be not as helpful as you think, but this one goes all the way to the bottom on the front side of the bag. You also have this U-shaped zipper on the front that accesses into some smaller pockets that are zipper shut, that also have some dividers that make some smaller spaces for you to utilize. There's also an air tag pocket right here in the backpack that's really nice and a little bit sneaky. The other thing around functionality is the side handles and the top handles. This thing has 3 different handles, which I love. I'll take as many handles as I can get. Comfort, I gave it a 7 out of 10 for a couple of reasons. Let's start with the pros this time. The pros is that there's really nice padding in the shoulder straps and on the back side of this bag. I don't love the fat shoulder straps that are somewhat straight. They do have a little bit of an S-curve to them, but not a lot. So what that's gonna result in is some real potential of rubbing on the neck or in the armpits. There's also no waist belt on this bag, and also the sternum strap on this bag is completely elastic, so that's helpful with a shock absorbent, but it's not helpful in keeping it sturdy and weight distribution. All right, let's talk organization. I already took you through the pockets on the front side of the bag, so let's take a look at our main compartment in this bag. And it's like almost a clamshell. It's not completely a clamshell. The zippers don't go into the rubber coating right here. So it does leave a little bit to be desired in opening this thing all the way up and seeing what you have, especially because you've got this lower pocket right here, and it makes the accessibility to that pocket a little bit challenging. But the cool thing about this is you've got organization for days. You've got a mesh puckered pocket up here at the top, which is perfect for underwear, socks, things like that. You have 3 smaller mesh pockets that are really helpful, but they have a single zipper. And then you have this zipper mesh pocket down here. And then of course, you have the main compartment for packing out. Let's also look at the laptop or electronic pocket. This thing is so organized. So you have a laptop pocket, you have a tablet pocket. Down here in the bottom, you have 2 larger expandable pockets that are great for just putting things into. You also have a cavity in front of them. You have a zipper mesh pocket that can hold some really small things. If you've got SD cards or whatever, that's a great pocket for that. There are these smaller padded pockets. Everything is super protected. Everything's soft. They did a killer job on organizing the back side of this bag. Organization in general for me on the SANDMARC is a 9 out of 10. Okay, I already alluded to it, but aesthetics, let's talk about aesthetics. I don't love the boxy shape of the bag. It's just not my style. So I gave it a 7 out of 10 on aesthetics. But if the boxiness doesn't bother you or you actually like it, it's a really good looking bag. The branding is great. The little blue accents are really cool. And the metal or aluminum zipper pulls are really quality. So overall, the SANDMARC got a 39 out of 50. Up next, we got the Moment Everything Travel Backpack. This is a 28-liter travel backpack from Moment. Moment's such a cool company. Again, they build products that are really focused towards creators, and I'm gonna talk about that in just a second. But even outside of being a creator, this is a great option for a smaller 1-bag travel backpack. One of the major benefits for the Moment Everything bag is its price point at $200. So for construction of this backpack, I gave it an 8 out of 10. Some of the pros is I love the structure of this backpack. It's pretty stiff. It holds its structure really well. There's also a really structured hard bottom to the bag as well. So it's gonna protect anything that's in the bottom of the bag when you set it down. It's a really cool ripstop nylon texture. I think it's like a 480D ripstop nylon, which I love it. It's just kind of more of a fresh look than just the typical weave nylon that a lot of these bags are made out of. Once again, we have a bag with all lightweight zippers. So the potentiality of stressing these zippers out is high. When I did pack this bag out completely full, I saw a little bit of white threading between the zipper and the bag, and it made me a little bit concerned about the lifespan of the zippers. You can check that out on my full review of this bag, linked in the description below. So functionality, I also gave it an 8 out of 10. I love the front side vertical pocket with some additional internal storage. So you've got this zipper internal storage in here with a mesh covering, and of course, a key leash. But there's a lot of organization you can do with just these 2 pockets. And again, these front vertical pockets are accessible without ever having to set your bag down. Now, another thing with Moment is their bags are an entire system. So the cool thing is you can get additions to this to actually structure it out more. So if you are a creator, you can get something like this packing cube that holds camera gear and has all these nice, really padded dividers. And it's made to integrate into this bag. These little metal tabs right here go into some elastic hoops inside the main compartment of this bag. And now it's super structured for camera gear or anything else that you would need to have protected inside this bag. Now let's talk about comfort on the Moment bag. This is where I think it suffers a little bit. I gave it a 6 out of 10 on comfort, which is pretty low, and there's a couple of reasons why. First off is if this is for camera gear and you're actually gonna use it for that, it's gonna get some weight behind it. There is no waist belt, there's no weight distribution straps on the top of the shoulder straps, and the sternum strap doesn't tighten up very much. They did a pretty decent job on the padding of the shoulder straps and the back. They did that pretty well. Now, the biggest ding for me is because of the structure. If you can see this ridge on the bottom of the bag, when I have this thing packed out, this ridge digs into the top part of my butt. And as I wore it around the property, packed it, unpacked it, did it a couple of different ways, I couldn't get that thing to keep from digging into the back of my butt. And honestly, if I were to do that any long periods of time or long distance, it would really wear on me. Now let's talk about organization, my favorite part. I gave this bag a 10 out of 10 in organization, specifically when you think about its weight and size, because it's a lightweight bag and it's a fairly small bag. There are lots of organization options. We already talked about the modular system. We already talked about this front pocket. It has an internal mesh pocket. As you open up the main compartment, one thing about functionality is it's not a true clamshell. I don't really love that. The zipper only goes about halfway down on this side and all the way down on this side. It would be really nice if this thing opened all the way up. But as you look inside here, we have organization options. We have a mesh zipper pocket right here at the top. This could be your admin pocket. This could be accessible while you're on the go and in transition and having all of your stuff in there. There could have been some smaller divisions inside this pocket. That would have really helped, but all in all, I really appreciate this. There's also two mesh zipper pockets inside on the back side of the main compartment. And then once again, these are those elastic straps that I was talking about that will strap in any of their modular organization options. You access the laptop pocket from the top, but here's so much more of your admin options, which I think is a fantastic idea. Why not put your admin in with your laptop? You also have a laptop tablet divider, which I always use because I travel with my laptop and my remarkable tablet. You have some smaller elastic pockets here, and then you have a couple of pen pockets. One of the coolest things that they did in the organization of this bag is they did this RFID protected pocket right here in the back. So you can have your passport and your credit cards in there. It's not completely obvious that there's gonna be a pocket right there. So it probably is the last place anybody's gonna look if they're going through your bag. And it's super accessible when you're in that TSA or customs line. You can just, swing the bag around and get right into it, but it's also protected. And that brings me to aesthetics. I love the aesthetics of this backpack. All of the branding is very subtle, especially this color, the black on black. We have the moment here. Then you have the M embroidered on the shoulder strap, and then you have the moment on the pass-through strap. So aesthetics for me is a 9 out of 10. So my overall score for the Moment Everything bag is a 41 out of 50. Great bag. All right, next we got the TOPO Designs Global Travel Backpack. This is a 30-liter backpack, also coming in at $200. In my opinion, this is one of the most unique bags in the bunch, just based off of looks alone, but let's dive into the details so you can understand a little bit more about what works and doesn't work with this backpack. All right, we got to start with construction. This thing is built like a tank. It's built to last. It's going to last you forever. It's made from recycled materials, and the majority of this bag is 1000D nylon. It also has super robust zippers on every single pocket of this bag. Those zippers are going to last forever. You cannot overpack them. You cannot stress them out. I guarantee it. I also want to talk about the internal material of this bag. We haven't talked about the internal material of any of the other bags. There are some potential weaknesses. You want to pay attention to the internal material because it will rub on things over and over again and can create some holes. They knew this at TOPO Designs, and this internal nylon is super robust and very, very thick. All of the plastic components and buckles on this backpack are solid. The construction on the TOPO Designs Global Backpack for me is a 10 out of 10. They went all out on materials. So let's talk about functionality. I think there's some great accessibility options on this bag, but the biggest challenge for me in this bag, in function, in organization, and aesthetics, is that it has an extremely thin side profile. So it makes it challenging to pack out. You can check out my full review on this bag to see it completely packed out. Another ding in functionality for me is the laptop pocket. It's challenging to access. Your water bottle blocks the handle, so it makes the handle unusable. That is a side effect of this thin profile because it piles everything on top of each other. Another side effect is the accessibility to the laptop pocket. So you have the waist strap here, you have the shoulder strap here, and the laptop pocket zipper is buried under both of those features. Once again, I think because they needed to make everything so compact and on top of each other on the side panel of this bag. So I gave the functionality of this bag a 7 out of 10. All right, so let's talk comfort. You have a really thick, really nice padding in the shoulder straps. You have a breathable mesh nylon on the back of the shoulder straps. You don't, however, have any breathable mesh on the back side of the bag. The sternum strap is very solid. However, it doesn't go very small. You do have a nice weight belt. It's not padded, but it's still very useful in getting that weight distribution onto your waist. And you also have the weight distribution webbing straps on top of the shoulder straps, which is really nice. Once again, once you have this thing packed out, get some weight in there, bringing that anchor point up closer to the top of the bag, it's gonna bring that weight more centered onto your frame. You can also store away the shoulder straps in this bag, and you can detach the waist strap as well. I give it an 8 out of 10 on comfort. So let's talk about organization on this bag. There's so many cool things in organization. I gave it a 9 out of 10, but in this front pocket, you have 2 zipper pockets that are perfect for smaller items, and then a larger cavity with a key leash deep down into that pocket so those keys aren't gonna accidentally come out. In this larger front pocket, you've got the zipper pocket on top that goes the full length, and then you have some nice bucket pockets right here for other things that you can store there. I mentioned the 2 water bottle holders, which I absolutely love that they put 2 water bottle holders on. They are a little bit thin. I put my 24-ounce Awala in them, and that's all it can take. So if you're packing a Nalgene or something like that, they're probably not gonna fit in these water bottle pockets. In the main compartment, again, notice the thin lack of depth in this pocket. That presents as a challenge. I do love these mesh zipper pockets as well. There's a lot of things you can fit inside of these that are organized and packable. Those can actually replace packing cubes if you do it right. Then finally, we have the laptop pocket. Here in the back, there's no organization in the laptop pocket. There's just one single open pocket, so no separation of laptop and tablet there. One thing I love about Topo design is their crazy colors, their fun colors, they're loud, they're proud. You can get a muted single color version of this bag, or you can go crazy with, I think, 8 or 9 different color combinations. But when this thing is packed out, it just looks a little funky being so square and so thin for my taste. So overall aesthetics, I gave it an 8 out of 10. So my total score for the Topo Designs Global Travel Backpack is 42 out of 50. All right, my friends, next we have the Tom Bin BIXI. I love this bag. This is a 30-liter travel backpack. This is our most expensive backpack I'm featuring in this video. It comes in at about $350. But let's dive into construction and we'll talk about why it's so expensive. All of Tom Bin's bags are made in the USA in Seattle by people that are paid well, that are doing a phenomenal job at creating a superior product. Is it worth a $100 jump from most of the bags that we're featuring in this video? I'll leave that up to you as we explore it. I give the construction of this bag a 10 out of 10. From the exterior materials, the weave nylon, to the heavy duty lockable zippers on each of the pockets, to the internal heavy duty ripstop material, all of it is just well thought through, and they use the best of the best. All right, let's talk about functionality, ease of use. First off, in transition, you have this larger front pocket. It does go all the way to the bottom, but then you have lots of admin options here. You've got pen holders, you've got smaller bucket pockets, you've got puckered bucket pockets, and you have a zipper pocket that goes all the way to the bottom. So they don't have that side vertical access, so you do have to take this bag off and set it down or hold it in order to access some of this front organization. I also love the full clamshell feature of the internal pocket or the main pocket. That's super functional because you can open it up and see exactly what it is that you need. There's great handles on this bag, one on the top, one on the side. Because of the water bottle holder on this side, there isn't a handle on this side, and there's no handle on the bottom. So there's not as many handles as I would love. I would love one on every side, but they are really nice and comfortable, and there's a lot of room in them. I mean, look how much room there is in that handle. It's not gonna squeeze your hand awkwardly. It distributes the weight over the mass of the bag. One other unique, cool functionality thing with the Tom Bin is you have pass-through on both directions. So you have a vertical pass-through this way, and you have a horizontal pass-through this way. So if you want your bag to sit on the side, you can do that, or if you want it to sit upright, you can do that as well on your luggage. All right, let's talk about comfort on the Tom Bin. I gave it a 10 out of 10. You have these shoulder straps that are just so unique. They have seamless sides on the shoulder straps. They're a really nice thin S-curve, so they're gonna curve to the body in a meaningful way. And it's a really soft, kind of stretchy spandex on the back side of the straps. These are the most comfortable straps that I've used on any bag that I'm gonna review today. There is something to want on the padding of the backside, but they do have this really nice breathable mesh on the backside as well. The waist belt is great for weight distribution, and the shoulder straps come out of the very top of the bag, so that's gonna keep the weight of the bag more on your frame rather than having them further down and distributing that weight further out and higher and out from your body. All right, so let's talk about organization. I already talked about this front pocket that's really nice. There's tons of options in there. In the main pocket, we have, of course, the main packing compartment, which is right here. You have these nice straps if you want to, and they are removable. So if you want to slide a suit coat under there that's folded up, or some pants or whatever, strap those down and then put something else on it. It'll keep all of that organized for you, especially when it goes vertical. We have these really nice elastic mesh pockets, and the stretch in this mesh is just enough to allow you to really pack these things out in a meaningful way, and there's two of them. Then we also have the laptop pocket, which is accessed from the top of the bag, and there is a tablet separator. Organization on the Tom Bin, I give it a 9 out of 10. So my total score on the Tom Bin is 46 out of 50. All right, my friends, last but not least, this is my absolute go-to favorite bag for multi-day one bag travel. This is the COTOPAXI Allpa 35. It is a 35-liter bag coming in at about $225. Let's talk about the construction of this bag. I give it a 10 out of 10. I've owned two versions of this. I owned the original version of this bag, loved it so much that I bought the newer version. This is what you're looking at, the newer version of the COTOPAXI Allpa 35 right here. The zippers are heavy duty and really, really smooth. You have this beautiful poly-coated nylon on the outside. On the internal pockets, you have a nice heavy duty mesh that wears really, really well. All right, so let's talk functionality. Transition accessibility, things that you need while you're on the plane, on the train, on the road, walking around. You have this smaller open pocket at the top side, front side of the bag. This is nice for smaller things, cell phones, chapstick, wallets, all of that kind of stuff. Then you also have this larger admin pocket, which is really nice. It's a big open space, so you can have larger things in here. You can have a toiletry bag in here. You can have, just lots of things. And then you also have this mesh separation pocket that is a zipper shut. You also have a key leash in there so that you can make sure that those keys are zipped away under double zipper and they're not going to get lost somewhere. You have nice little webbing anchor points throughout the bag. I love the full clamshell action for functionality in this bag. It can open completely up and you can see everything you want through mesh pockets. And the elastic water bottle holder, it could have a little bit more depth to it, but I think it's really strong and a great feature that they added on this newer version. Handles on every single side, bottom, top, and both sides. I can't tell you how many times I use each one of these handles. You can also really easily tuck away the shoulder straps. It's an easy buckle to undo here, and you just push them away like that. We'll talk about comfort in just a second, but then you can also take the waist straps and tuck those away. so it becomes a very clean duffel or brief kind of style bag. So for functionality on the Allpa, I gave it a 9 out of 10. All right, let's talk comfort. For comfort, I gave this bag a 10 out of 10. Once again, we have this breathable mesh wrapping up over the edge of the shoulder strap so you don't get any of that seam rub on your neck or on your armpit. There's tons of padding both in the back and in the shoulder strap. I mean, look how thick those shoulder straps are. You also have the weight distribution waist belt, which is thick around the hips. The nylon breathable mesh is really nice for hot weather, wearing it long distances or for a long amount of time. And the back is fairly structured, so it holds its shape really well. And the other thing is, when I have these waist belts tucked in, it adds just a little bit of depth here in the lumbar of the bag, which actually fits the shape of your back really well. It pushes those straps up into the lumbar of your back, and it's super comfortable. You can tighten the sternum strap all the way down, so that's gonna bring those straps as close as possible. If you have a smaller frame, smaller chest like me, I like to tighten that all the way up to bring some of that weight into the core of my frame or the center of my frame. So let's talk organization. I think there are a few options missing in this bag, so I gave it a 9 out of 10. But overall, I think they do a really damn good job on the organization. You have this front top pocket that we already talked about, nothing internal there. We have this pocket, this larger top pocket that has tons of space and is expandable and has a single mesh pocket inside there as well with the keychain leash. When we open the main compartment, we have a top mesh pocket here, which is nice for some of the thinner things. You can do socks, you can do underwear, whatever you want. Eliminates the need for one of those packing cubes. You have this bottom mesh pocket that opens completely up as well in a U-shaped zipper. Love that. And it expands, so you can get a lot of things inside of this pocket that you wouldn't normally be able to get on the front side of bags, clamshell bags like this. They built a ton of expansion into that pocket. And then of course you have the main pocket here that has some great depth to it, has this U-shaped mesh zipper cover to it as well. I talked about the water bottle holder and the potential for a bigger size there or more depth. Let's look at the laptop pocket. I'd much rather side access than top access. It just makes things feel a little bit more accessible. Very soft felt material on the inside, and you do have that laptop tablet divider, so you can have both in there if that's applicable to you. And it can fit a huge laptop. I have a 16-inch, but it could fit so much bigger. Aesthetics, I gave a 10 out of 10. I love the way the bag looks. I love the loudness of their colors so that you can express yourself that way. I love that this looks plastic and heavy duty on the outside of the bag. It makes it look more secure. It holds the shape of the bag a little bit better. So my overall score for the COTOPAXI Allpa 35 is 48 out of 50, damn near a perfect score. If this video has helped you decide what bag you're gonna get, tell me in the comments. I would love to hear which one you're choosing and why. And of course, if I missed anything, or if you think I misscored something, please let me know in the comments. I would love to hear your feedback. If this video has been helpful to you or entertaining at all, please remember to like it, subscribe to it, all of the things, and we'll see you on the next one. Peace.